let me lay on you what libertarianism is to me. Once again, I'm speaking for myself, which is about as libertarian as you can get. I do not believe I know what's best for other people. I also don't believe that other people know what's best for other people. I can barely make decisions for myself. I do my best to make decisions for my family. Should my 10-year-old son take music lessons? That's a hard question for our family. Do you want to push him into it or wait until he really wants it? Those are hard decisions. I have trouble making those for my family. So making the decision of what someone else's job and health care should be like, who's in another part of the country who I've never met, is not something I'm qualified or desirous to do. That's libertarianism. Libertarianism is taking a right on money and your first left on sex and looking for utopia straight ahead. To me, the way I was brought up, Western Massachusetts, kind of a New England philosophy, we believed in responsibility and keeping your nose out of other people's business. We believed in live and let live, I think to a fault. My mom and dad were older parents too. My mom was 45 when I was born. So I was raised by another generation. You see, my mom would be whatever, 120 now or 115 now. Whole other generation. My mom was born, now you're going to see that my math is wrong. My mom was born in 1909. She's dead now. So it's a whole different generation. And my mom's feeling about absolutely everything was who cares. Her whole feeling on the gay rights movement was who cares who they want to get together with? Doesn't matter to me. Her whole feeling on drugs. I have never had a sip of alcohol or any recreational drug in my life. That was true for my mother, true for my father, true for my sister. I don't know how many generations it goes back, but never. And yet, my mom always thought that, sure, any drug should be legal. If you're living in a free country, do whatever you want. Take responsibility for it. When you tell people about libertarianism, you just tell them, we think you should take as little from other people by force as possible, and you should be able to do whatever you think is right. Now, that's a pretty heavy thing I'm saying, because I'm saying that if there's an 18-year-old girl who is the greatest math whiz that we have in this country, let's say she's the smartest person at math we have anywhere, and let's say we give her a full scholarship to go to whatever school she wants to go to, Stanford, MIT, wherever she wants to go. And she decides she wants to work at McDonald's and get pregnant at the age of 19. That's her decision. Jim Morrison, did he have a worse life because he did an awful lot of drugs and died at 28? I don't know. I've already lived a lot longer than Jim Morrison, but were his choices worse than mine? I don't know. I know I would not have liked to have lived like Jim Morrison, although I'd like to look that good in leather pants. But Kurt Cobain, did I want to live like that? No, not even slightly. Prince, I don't want to live like that. But they probably don't want to live like me either. Libertarianism is the strongest sense of, please do what you want, try not to hurt me. Our government has a monopoly on force. Have a monopoly on force. The government is the only organization that is supposed to be able to use force. The government is supposed to be a government of us. Which means, in my thinking, my morality, the government should only use force for things I'm willing to use force for. The government are the only ones that are allowed to use guns to hurt another person or threaten another person legally. So the question becomes, what would I use a gun to do? Now, I'm a coward, and I have no skills with guns or with violence. I've never hit a person in anger in my life. I've been hit, I never hit back. So this is hypothetical. But if I were not a coward, would I use a gun to stop someone from being killed? Yes. Would I use a gun to stop someone from being raped? Yes. Would I use a gun to build a library? Would I take money from someone to build a library? Well, I'd certainly give my money. I'd certainly work. I'd certainly beg you for money to build a library. Libraries really matter to me. I was born in '55. I'm from a small town. Without a library, I would have known nothing. I had to ride my bike to the library to learn about Lenny Bruce, Franz Kafka. I got Stravinsky records from the library. It meant everything to me. Libraries matter, but that's the libertarian question. Now, taking care of people. Would you use a gun to take care of others? That's a hard one. Because taxation is using violence. Now, people try to say taxation is voluntary. It's not. If you don't pay your taxes, eventually, somewhere down the line, someone with a gun will show up. They just will. At some point, if you don't do that. What do we do with our taxes? Will we use a gun to defend our country? Yeah, I guess we got it, right? But we use a gun for everything we use for taxes. So when I see the government doing something, I ask myself, would I use a gun to do that? Now, all of that being said, that is the high level, the theoretical part of libertarianism to me. In a nuts and bolt level, it becomes much, much simpler. And this is one of the cases where the reality is simpler than the theory. When someone is worried about libertarianism, they worry about what happens to public schools, what happens to welfare, what happens to roads. Those are the first three questions they ask. And those are the hardest questions. I will give you public schools. I will give you welfare. I will give you infrastructure. I will not give you the government using a gun to take money from poor people and giving it to rich people. The biggest issue in libertarianism is stopping corporate welfare. What we give in welfare to the poor, what we give in government money to the roads, what we give in government money to the schools is nothing compared to the money we give to rich people. The best way to stop crony capitalism, the best way to stop graft, the best way to stop all sorts of bad stuff in government is to make government small enough. The way you stop corruption is make it small enough that corruption doesn't pay. Give the government little enough that there's not a lot to steal from them. The government is buoying up the rich corporations. The rich corporations love the government. They game the system in a way an individual never can. Any big corporation has a team of the best lawyers that figure out how they can not pay taxes. No middle class person has that. They have regulations set to keep other people out of the business, right? Even the manicure shops, they want to license and register everything so that other people can't get in. It's limiting. If you had a true free market, you would not have the big mega corporations. Libertarianism is not about rich white people getting a lot of money for corporations and leaving everybody else to whistle. Libertarianism is, let's not use the government to take money from poor people and middle class people and give it to rich people, because really, that's all that's ever happened. That's all that's ever happened. But for right now, can we just do what every motherfucking American believes, which is stop giving so much money to the corporations, let the people have more control, let them smoke dope, let them put what they want into their bodies, let them have sex with whoever they want as long as there's consent, and let them do that in every state, let them love who they want and enjoy life the way they want. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Is that a nut position?